In this set of lessons, we're going to look at how to deal with fractions involving algebra. Before we do that though, we're going to look at how to simplify fractions with numbers first, in a slightly different way than we've done before, because it will help us with doing it with algebra. So let's have a look at this first idea here, 12 over 18. If we were to simplify that, you've been told before that you try to find the biggest number that divides into both parts, the 12 and the 18. In this case that would be 6. So you would just actually do it, wouldn't you? You would do 12 divided by 6, you'd write 2 in the top, and you'd do 18 divided by 6, and you would write 3 in the bottom. However, we could write it like this. We could write 12 is made up of 6 times 2, and 18 is made up of 6 times 3. And because there's a 6 in the top and a 6 in the bottom, we can then divide the top by 6, and also divide the bottom by 6, and cancel the 6's out to leave you with 2 over 3. Now this process is a good way of writing it out to do the algebra side of things. Let's look at another one, 35 over 50. If we're trying to simplify this, we could rewrite 35 as 5 lots of 7, like that. And the bottom we could write as 5 lots of 10. Now you'll notice that the 5's are in red and they're crossed out. Essentially what we can do here to simplify this is divide top by 5 and the bottom by 5. And that's why I'm crossing them out, and that leaves us with 7 over 10. Now you can only do this cancelling out process if the numbers have been multiplied, because when you're crossing them out you're really dividing. So the opposite of times is divide. Some people get mixed up and they think they can do it here. For example, 6 plus 3 over 6 plus 5. Oh, I'll divide by 6. But 6 has been added to 3, so you can't undo that by division. You need to undo that by taking away. And if we cancel those down, 3/5 that would come to, is 9 over 11 the same as 3/5? No, it's not. So you can't cancel down when it's been added to another number. Okay, let's take this into algebra, because that's the whole point of this section, algebraic fractions. So we've got n cubed divided by n. Now we know we can write n cubed out a bit longer. We could write n times n times n. And then we could write an n in the bottom. Now just as before, you'll see that two n's are in red here and they're crossed out. That's because I can divide the top by an n and divide the bottom by an n. So if I do that, I'm left with n times n in the top, which is n squared. If I divide n by n in the bottom, I'm left with a 1. You think about 6 divided by 6 would give you 1, 7 divided by 7 would give you 1. You have to remember these letters stand for numbers. Now we don't really leave it over 1, we just write it as n squared. Okay, let's look at the next one. We've got e to the power 4 over e to the power 3. Now e to the power 4 can be written out long ways, like this. Again, you'll notice red letters and lines through them. We'll talk about that in a minute. And in the bottom, you can have e to the power 3, which is just e times e times e. Now you can divide top and bottom by e, and cancel one pair out, and do it again. Divide top and bottom by e, cancel one pair out. Divide top and bottom by e, cancel one pair out. So what you're left with at the top is e, and in the bottom, all of this divided by all of this is just 1. But we just write that as e. Now some of you may maybe start to notice things with the numbers. You can do something with the 4 and the 3 to get this answer. But we're going to write it out this way just now. Right, last one on this page. B cubed can be written as b times b times b. 3 b's basically, multiplied. And b to the power 5 can be written as b times b times b times b times b. 5 b's multiplied. Now you have to be careful with this one, and I'll show you why in a second. If you cancel out this b with the b below, division, which you're dividing top by b and bottom by b, they will cancel out. Do it again with these two, and do it again with these two. Now you're left with a b times b in the bottom. But some people think that's the answer. But this time we've divided b times b by all of that, so that leaves a 1 in the top. So it's important to leave the 1 in the top. It's completely different If you think about 1 over 5, is that the same as 5 over 1? No, it's completely different. So it's really important, if you're cancelling out all the letters in the top, then you leave a 1. Okay, let's look at slightly more complicated examples. We've got a 4 and a 2 here, which is the new kind of aspect of this. So what you can do is you can just do the same idea. You can simplify the letters and also simplify the numbers. So let's write out the top line in a long kind of way. That would be 4 times A times A times A. At the bottom you've got 2 times A. Now you can see I've cancelled out 2 A's, an A in the top and an A in the bottom. And that leaves me with 4A squared in the top and then just 2 in the bottom. At this point I'm going to cancel the numbers, so 4 divided by 2 is just 2. So you're left with 2A squared. You can do the numbers first if you want. I tend to do the letters first and then the numbers. Once you get really good at it, you can do it all at once. Right, let's look at the second example here. The top line becomes 6 times C. We've got 6 lots of C here. And on the bottom line, you've got 8 times C times C. C squared is C times C. Again, you can see I've scored out a C in the top and the bottom. That's by division. That's going to leave you with a 6 in the top and an 8C in the bottom. So the last thing to do is to try and find something that divides into 6 and 8. That would be 2. So you're going to get 3 over 4C. Okay, last one here. H squared k cubed. That really just means h squared times k cubed. So that's 2 h's multiplied and 3 k's multiplied. On the bottom, just h times k. So you'll notice I've cancelled out 2 of the h's, one on the top, one on the bottom. I've also done the same with the k's, one on the top, one on the bottom. So what does that leave us with? Well, h times k squared in the top and just a 1 in the bottom. And you can write it over 1 and then leave it as hk squared.